Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Judith Morgan, come in, Judith Morgan.
Nicola Cairncross, hello, I'm here.
Excellent. Well, welcome back, Judith.
Yeah, well, I think the time has come to come clean with the listener that this is the second recording that we're recording today on a Friday, because you're going on an extended trip to America, first cruising and then driving across the country. And the interesting thing is we're doing these on Fridays, which is normally the day they go out, but we generally record on a Wednesday. So this is our third show this week for you and I. And that's not the good bit of this story. One thing about my week, it's a bloody digital detox Friday for me. I shouldn't even be online. And here I am yakking to you and trying to keep Facebook shut and emails shut. But I'm having a lovely time. I just wanted to have a little moan and also to pat myself on the back for my second digital detox Friday, which after this, I don't have to be online until Saturday morning. So that's good.
Well, you know, I'm still struggling to come to terms with this whole concept, and I don't understand.
Well, if it wasn't for us having to record these two shows, which is exceptional because you're going to America, I wouldn't be online at all today, which is brilliant for only my second attempt. The first one had to come online at 4:00 in the afternoon for one of my group calls, but that's only a fortnightly one. So it would be a complete day off in the sunshine today, were it not for this. So, Nicola, my sacrifice for your holiday is quite considerable.
Well, it's not really a holiday, is it? It's an internet marketer's cruise for a week and then driving across America, stopping for dinner with various marketers as we go, followed by a traffic and conversions conference. I would like you to tell me any holiday that you can think of that you would prefer to that.
No, I can't. No, exactly. That is heaven for you. So stop trying to pretend.
No, I can think of one, which I will do very soon. It's going to watch the whales off the coast of Mexico and get in one of those little boats and go out and touch a whale.
Okay.
That's one of my bucket list things I want to do with Phoebe.
I've never seen them let you touch them.
Oh yeah, you do. You get to bob about in little boats and they come up very gently with their babies and they let you stroke them.
Do you mean whales?
I do mean whales, yes.
Because I've done that in Mexico, and, you know, I can't see you touching a whale. It's an enormous, great big creature. I've never seen anybody touch them. Porpoises and dolphins, yes, but whales, I'm amazed.
Well, I've got a real thing for whales. In fact, I've got more of a thing for whales than I have than dolphins, because I think dolphins can be a little bit capricious. That's a good word.
And my partner in the cleaning business has got a thing for sharks. Let's go there. Now, tell me one thing about your week.
Okay, well, I had a call there's one of the people I interviewed for my podcast who had built a digital agency to multi-millions and sold it. And he now mentors other digital agency owners. Oh, that's the postman. It might be my phone.
It could be the phone. It could be the phone.
Okay, hold on. It's another bloody parcel for Phoebe. It's a PS4. Her and her brother have jointly invested in, because apparently you can get online it's all about that whole tele connect up thing. So yeah. Where was I? Yes. So I had a call with this person because I was considering taking him on as a coach, and we had a very good call. We got on very well. And the one thing he said to me, and I'd love to know your opinion on this, the one thing he said to me was, take your prices off your website. And I can't do it. I want people to know exactly what my fees are before.
Sorry, what was his logic of doing that?
Because you attract bigger clients. He says bigger clients come to your website and they see that your fee level is X and they think, oh no, she's too small fry. And so I've got conflicted feelings about whether I want to work with bigger clients in the first place, like corporates we're talking here. And I've also got conflicted feelings about people not knowing my fees before they come on a call with me. But then when I realised actually that most people don't look at my website because they come straight from Facebook ads to a landing page to download my report and then they get followed up with lots of, I think I could put it in a follow-up email what my fees are, because perhaps people don't go and look at the fees, because I have had the odd occasion where people, like that woman the other week who wasn't aware there was a separate ad budget. So I don't quite know what to do, and I was interested to know what your thoughts are on it. But we could discuss it in project updates more if you like.
No, I don't know.
Let's sit on it while we go through the rest of the thing.
Yes.
Because it is more of a project update thing than one thing about your week.
I'm having two thoughts, and they are conflicting, but we'll think.
Because it was triggered by one thing that happened to me this week, which was the potential call with a potential mentor.
Yeah.
What about your week then?
Well, I did it. Mine's about Digital Detox Friday. You interrupting me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Did you have more to say?
No, I'm sorry. You interrupting me in my plans to be offline on Fridays.
God forbid I should ever interrupt you mid-flow. That wouldn't be good, would it?
Oh no, we do that to each other constantly in these shows.
I know, but we've got the strength of character to come back and insist that we finish. What's fueled your fire then?
Yeah, well, a strange thing, which you're not going to like at all, but some of the listeners might. In the mid-noughties, I studied EFT level 1 and 2. That's tapping with Anne Ross, who you know, actually. And she and I together, and Marion, ran quite a lot of workshops about, using EFT to create the life you want rather than being a procrastinator or not believing you could make any money or whatever it was. And like all tools that you acquire, you forget to use them. But I do recommend tapping quite often to my clients whenever they're talking about, reasons why they can't do such and such because they feel such and such. So have you heard of tapping? Have you tried? And I send them to a channel on YouTube by a man called Brad Yates, who's got a tapping. If you go onto YouTube and Google Brad Yates and whatever the unhelpful emotion is that you're feeling, he'll have already created a video for you. He's made so many. He's so prolific. It's got to be worth 5 or 8 minutes of anybody's time to tap on an emotion. Anyway, the point of this story is that last weekend, a young man that I know through Facebook but have never met, although he is the brother of a client of mine and he's sniffed around quite a lot of my projects, he sent me a private message on Facebook to say that he was having some problems in the romantic area. Why he should think that I would be the person to help him with that, I don't know. But I did say, have you tried tapping? And I sent him to Brad Yates's channel, and he came back really quickly and said, I've had such good results. And as soon as you mentioned it, I could feel a shift, blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. So I thought, I better have a go at this myself. And, you're reminded of things that you know that you work, but you've forgotten to use them. And his results were so good, I thought, well, I might try tapping on these headaches that I got. And, of course, it worked straight away. And I just have enjoyed being back doing something which I studied. I think it's level 1 and level 2 is a weekend each, and Anne's a friend, so it wasn't an arduous study by any means. And I do remember there being some deeply moving, because she's a master, so there was some deeply moving stuff where people got the front of the class and, in one session, quite a long one, where we're all watching with our hearts in our mouths, she would shift problems that people had had since their childhood, and we would all end up in tears because it was so moving to see this thing lift off this person. But I'm just, my fire has been fueled by remembering some work I did a decade ago that is useful to me and my clients every day of my life.
That's really good. And, you mustn't say things like, you won't like this, because it's not that I don't like EFT. It's just that it didn't work for me. That was all. So I fully realised that millions of people...
That is the same as not liking it, because, it works for everybody. It's like acupuncture. But anyway, I'm addressing that to our more woo-woo listener and saying, actually, to everybody, if you ever catch yourself on feeling a feeling or an emotion that is unhelpful, just open up YouTube, go Brad Yates, fear, scarcity, heartache, headache, worry, anxiety, whatever your own word is to describe the unhelpful emotion. Yeah. Follow the tap, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, that's all it is. And just see if it helps. And if it doesn't, it's cost you 8 minutes of your life.
That's very good, because it leads on to my who or what's impressed, but I'll save that for later on.
Yeah, do your fire fueling first.
Well, Judith, our podcast download numbers are what's fueled my fire this week. I astonished, we went and had a look last week, didn't, well, I went and had a look last week, so I'm a bit obsessed with them. My chart position particularly. We did get up into the top 60, by the way, so we're getting very close to the top 40 and back down again now, but every Friday we go up again. But we have had more downloads of this podcast in the first week of January than we normally get in a month. And I cannot, for the life of me, find out where they've come from. But what I can see, looking at the subsequent daily download numbers, is that a good proportion of them, it went from, we usually get about 300 downloads per episode at the moment. And we got 500, 600 downloads in one day. The next day was about 300, and the next day was about 300 again. So we got a massive spike in one 3-day period. And a good proportion of them must have turned into subscribers. So it wasn't just traffic, and it wasn't traffic that came to the website to listen. It was iTunes traffic. So
you can't actually. Can you find out how many subscribers you've got on iTunes?
No, you can't. On iTunes, it's all about how many reviews you've got. But your iTunes downloads do come into your Libsyn stats. So I can see how many downloads we get from iTunes. And it definitely was an iTunes spike. So someone sent, either we appeared on a chart somewhere briefly, or somebody sent someone to down, anyway, it worked in iTunes. Some of them have become subscribers because our average daily downloads has tripled since that spike. So instead of getting...
The thing is, you're more woo-woo than you know, because you said it's one of my intentions for 2016 to, get some traction on this podcast.
I've got to say that first week of January does feel a bit magic all round, really, because it happened. That's when it happened as well. All those clients came in and the podcast spiked. And there was another wonderful thing that happened. I can't remember what it was now, but it did feel like a fairly magical week, I must say. But it makes me feel, it fuels my fire, because you just do things and you just never know if they're going to work, and you do them in the absolute faith that something will happen. And we've been slogging away with this podcast. And slogging away is a lie, because we enjoy it so much. But I was starting to think, because we don't do anything black hat to boost our download numbers. There's lots of people. The only thing I do is use my social media manager and meet Edgar to highlight previous episodes. That's all we do.
Well, I should say here what I'm going to do that I've never done before, really, is instead of liking your posts when your person does that for you, Edgar, I'm going to not just like them but share them. I'm also going to do what you've been doing for a year, which is once a week I'm going to make a blog post. In fact, you saw me do that, didn't you? Because you did something. Once a week I'm going to make a blog post out of one of the episodes.
Oh, good, because we've been getting them transcribed and they're in the folder for you to use as you want. So
yeah, I'm not going to do it like that, because you're doing it like that, which means we'll just be duplicating it. So I'm going to write a short paragraph around my experience of recording that episode and link to this episode. Yeah.
And thoughts arising since.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So use it as an inspiration, a topic inspiration.
Yes. So there's one blog post a week I don't have to think about, because I've already got the content for it.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. So I think, that's fueled my fire, because it's just. Oh, and you said something I didn't mean to then, and you'll know why in a minute. It's just fueled my fire. It made me realise.
I'll tell you what you're reminding me of, Phil. What are you reminding me of? Oh yes, when you said slogging away and then withdrew it, which you're quite right. What you meant to say, what we have done that isn't slogging away, is we've made a commitment to something and we stuck at it.
Yes, and the commitment is that much easier because I've made it to you as well, because I'm not someone who's very good at consistency or repetition or being somewhere at a certain time every week.
But I'd be a bit grumpy if you weren't here, don't you?
Exactly. So I've made a commitment to you and our listeners, and it's a commitment that makes me better than myself, because I wouldn't be doing this on my own.
That's an extremely enlightened way of expressing it, actually. I also think that you are much more professional at commitments than you used to be when we first worked together. If you wouldn't commit to anything anymore that you weren't sure you could see through, and you've never not turned up here, except when you've been travelling and you couldn't get online.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of the most. It's one of the highlights of my week, Judy.
Well, it's actually no mean undertaking, is it? Because the day before or the day of or whatever before, we have to prepare what we're going to say. Then there's the hour of the recording. Then you do the whatever you do and I do whatever I do afterwards. You know, it's a half day, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's a half day a week.
Yeah, prepare, record, me, show notes, you...
Editing.
Equalising. Yes, exactly.
Equalising.
Whatever it's called.
Oh, no.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's important to... If we're talking about commitment and not the podcast now for a minute, it's important to know about you, me, and everybody listening individually is, you know, before you take on something, can I see this through? Can I give it a good go? Or am I overreaching? Or it's interesting, isn't it, that we didn't actually think that logically, but we must have thought it subliminally.
Yeah, and I think if I'd have thought it through, then I'd have had second thoughts. But so it's quite good that I'm quite impulsive and impetuous and don't think about the ramifications of things. So I might have thought, oh blimey. But no, I'm really delighted, and now triple the number are enjoying our musing stroke ravings.
Well, that does warm the cockles of your heart. And I think if we weren't getting that, it actually last year numbers were encouraging enough for us to keep doing it. But if we weren't getting that, if we were broadcasting and nobody was listening, I think that would be quite depressing.
Yeah, it would, except it's creating content for my blog and now yours. So I think that'd be worth continuing alone, wouldn't it?
But first, a word from our sponsors. Do you feel isolated and alone in running your own home-based business? Do you have worries, doubts, fears and resistance which sometimes make you feel like giving up? Don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, you're perfectly normal. It can be scary all by yourself. But what if you could learn how to become a confident business owner, how to trust yourself more and grow your income, relax and be more creative and productive? Small Business Big Magic is a unique business mentoring group providing grounded practical support and advice, fast responses to your questions, inspiration and solutions to boost your clarity and help you find direction, focus and success in your life and business. Join Small Business Big Magic today for the friendship and encouragement of others just like you and the enthusiasm of a coach who gets you and your business. There's big magic for your small business at judithmorgan.com.
Client challenge of the week. We've got the client opportunity again.
Well, you have got another client opportunity. Let me just check next week. Oh, no, I haven't done one for next week yet. Yes. Now, I think you're going to like this one. In fact, I'm going to go all Nicola in this section. Are you ready?
Oh, you choked on my coffee then.
I know. I'm going to go all Nicola in this one. And it's something that you mentioned to us on the podcast probably in about December, I think. And then in a client call this week, it came up again. And then I had some genius ideas around it.
Oh. And
I thought what we might do today is take a closer look at Gumroad.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you why. I'll just tell you all the genius ideas I've done. And I'm deliberately trying to speak slowly because there's a terrible risk here I'm going to get overexcited.
And just implode.
Yeah. So let's first of all go to what I do now that I would call marketing.
Okay.
I do the podcast with you. We just worked out that's half a day a week. I blog, and I'm going to do more of that. I'm getting right back into blogging actually. So let's say we do a blog post a day. That's 5 blog posts. That's 5 hours. So that's a whole day now if we add the half day of the boat, right? And then there's the newsletter, which is another half a day. Then there's all the social media, which is several hours a day. And all of that is unpaid to the extent that I might eventually get a client out of it. But I think Gumroad is an opportunity to get paid to do that. It's an opportunity to get paid to do your marketing. It's list building. I'm going to explain all of these in a minute.
Yeah.
Let me explain them one at a time. You mentioned it because one of your gurus had put up something on Gumroad that we could pay what we wanted for. It was a pay what you want model, and it could be as little as $1. Do you remember that?
I remember it, and I remember at the time I was so grateful because it was Justin Brooke. I remember it vividly, and funnily enough, I mentioned it to him this week because he was having an amazing, I think it was his birthday or something, and I put a birthday thing up saying, "Thank you so much. You don't know this, but you've made such a difference to someone in the UK," because his Facebook ads course was the first one that made me think I could do this and do it well, and I wouldn't have been able to buy it if it had been $500 at the time. But he put it on Gumroad at pay what you want, and I paid $97, even though he set the minimum at about $47. I paid what I could afford, which was $97, and my God, it's repaid me millions of times over.
Right. Okay. So let me follow this. Make me do it slowly. Okay. Now, if any of us listening create a digital product, and that could be an ebook or an e-course or a white paper or a comic or a video or an audio or anything like that. So quite a wide range that Gumroad, and you can put it up there for a price or you can put it up there for pay what you want.
Yeah.
The first thing that's going to happen is somebody's going to buy it. It integrates with your mailing through via Zapier, which is something you've talked to us about before. I've always switched off when you've done it. It integrates with my mailing list at MailChimp and yours at Infusionsoft.
Yeah.
So now you've been paid to do your marketing because somebody's bought something and gone into your list.
Yeah.
So you've been paid to do marketing, and now it builds your list, and your digital product can persuade people to do things like we discussed last week. Join your Facebook group, for instance. So there's more ways of interacting with people. It also does VATMOS because the person has bought it from Gumroad, and Gumroad are going to handle the VAT, so you don't need to handle the VAT. That's for our British listeners. The first experience the first experience somebody has of going into your list is when they pay you money to do that. So
even if it's tiny.
Even if it's a tiny amount. So what Sue O'Kell always says is that you want to segment your list into payers and non-payers. Well, here they've joined your list as a payer. So from the get-go, their first experience of your marketing is that they pay you for something. So they've already pre-selected themselves as payers.
Customers, yeah.
Yeah. Now, wait. It's very affordable. All the money comes through PayPal. It's very affordable. They take 5% in dollars, so the pricing's in dollars. They take 5%, which is, I think you'll agree, a small sum of money, plus a 25-cent transaction charge.
Yeah.
You can do pay what you want, or you can set a price. They have affiliates, so there are affiliates who might want to sell your product through this. Oh, wait, Nicola, I haven't finished that.
That's new.
It does subscriptions.
Yeah, that's nice.
It does memberships. And for an extra 10% on top of that 5% plus 25%, they have something called Discover, which is they will find the buyers for you.
No.
Yes, because they'll build an audience, and they'll also do that thing that happens when you buy something on Amazon that says, if you like this, you'll like that. Do you want to buy two together? So if somebody buys a product that indicates they might like mine or yours, Gumroad will tell them that. I mean, honestly, Nicola, I'm practically beside myself here because, and even better, it offers something which, I said before Christmas, or I might not have said it before Christmas, I might have said it in my New Year's 12 things, that I'm going to master Scrivener so I can write books better.
Yeah.
What you've got to do, I think a 2016 thing for me would be to master this in every single area, and I don't think it would take very long, to be honest, because this means I could be paid to market instead of doing all that for free.
And you know what I've just thought?
Wait, hold that thought. So I've just got one more point to make, which has gone out of my mind now.
Oh dear.
Yes. When you join, it costs nothing to join, obviously. It only costs when they make a sale of your product. or you make a sale of their product, and social sharing's easy, and your integration with your website's easy, and it's just amazing. The thing that I'm really excited about is, hang on, I've forgotten it again. Oh, yes. When you join, you can join a 30-day challenge, and they will educate you across all 30 days about how to use their platform to the maximum thing.
That is good. Really, really good.
I know. And there's another thing that they do like that as well. Oh, yes, they give you a create a product in a week challenge or something you can join in as well, also for free.
Wow, you really have gone for it, haven't you? I'm so impressed.
To be honest with you, I've probably only spent, the night before last, I picked up my iPad and looked at it very briefly after lights out. So I was in bed already, quite excited. And I suddenly realised, you don't look at the platform and you think, oh, I could be paid to do my marketing. But when you've got my brain, you do think that. You think, oh, at the moment I'm doing all this work. And lots of my clients create ebooks and opt-ins and all sorts of things. Well, sod it, you put that on Gumroad. So you don't have to suddenly persuade your clients to part with money. The first thing they did in their relationship with you was part with money. It doesn't matter if it's $1, they're a payer.
It makes a difference, actually, yeah.
Yeah, it does make a huge difference. So you're not trying to convert the skint and the scarce anymore.
Skint and the scarce.
It's a lovely, well, you look at it, you know how some of those online platforms get their language so fun and cool and light-hearted and easy, and you want to play and engage with them. They've just done it so right.
Yeah, I've known about Gumroad for a while, and I did actually play with it. When you were doing your pay what you want thing, but you've got to, as we've talked about before, you've got to use it for things that you would happily give away anyway, because you can't get scarce and tight. Tight. When I say tight, I don't mean tight as in Scrooge. I mean tight as in emotional.
No, you can't. Tight. But it's not. You don't have to do pay what you want. You can set the price. So in the instance of your Facebook ads course, for instance, if you put it up there, there's an army of affiliates who will help you sell it if you want.
See, I didn't know about the affiliate thing at all.
No, well, I don't know whether that's new. And there's Discover, who will bring it to the audience for an extra 10%.
Well, that's two huge benefits right there over putting it in your own shopping cart.
I know.
And the thing about Gumroad, all these software boys love it, and the girls obviously, because it looks so beautiful and it's such a good user experience. Apparently, I've bought things on Gumroad before, and I bought pay what you want things on Gumroad, and it is a lovely user experience. It looks great, It acts great,
and the thing to remember about digital content, not all of it, because, for instance, this doesn't apply to your Facebook ads course, but all of the digital content you and I have ever created, you can just put it up there. It's easier than Kindle. You can put it, if it sells, great. If it doesn't sell, great. And the fact is, once you've created digital content, you don't really care if you decide to give it away for pay what you want, because they're self-selecting as payers, and it integrates with your mailing list, and now you're paid for every email address that goes into your mailing list.
Yeah, that's right. And I actually feel that if you used Gumroad and something like Drip or MailChimp, I'm not keen on MailChimp, I'm not, because of the difficulty in moving people from one list to the other. It does have the facility, but it's hard to do. But if you just have a simple email thing like Drip or ConvertKit and Gumroad.
Well, ConvertKit is one of the things that it integrates with.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you can really have quite a very, and if it does affiliate, that's astonishing.
If you weren't you or me, you could do away with your own website altogether and just sell digital content on their platform, because you can tweet it and share it and the whole 9 yards.
I didn't realise they did affiliates as well. That's very exciting, because
and they also do a price comparison between just selling your stuff on their site and all the advantages that come with compared to your own cost of selling stuff.
Well, that's just awesome, and thank you so much for going and having a look at it, because I
only looked at it. I only looked at it because Sam, my client, mentioned it, and because you'd already mentioned it before. I looked at it when you mentioned it only at the course that you wanted me to send people to. I can't even remember what it was now. But then when Sam mentioned it this week, I thought, oh, it's perfect for her. And then I had all of these genius ideas about it. It's basically, it's going to pay me to do my marketing.
And it is so easy because I tell you what, when you set up your product, all it wants you to do is upload a document. And your document would have the instructions for how your new
I tell you,
customer
if it wasn't if it wasn't already a digital detox Friday, I'd have 2 books up by tea time.
You're going to have to restrain your. How are you going to come off this excitement high I can hear in your voice?
No, it's been going on for several days, this Gumroad thing. Sally, my client, who's an astrologer, she came on a call last night and said, "Oh my God, Sally, I've had a thought for you earlier today. I'm so excited." I'm wandering around the house thinking, at least 50% of my clients could benefit from this.
No, it's interesting.
And they are people who don't have very big lists. So they don't have reach, and Gumroad is going to bring them reach and also stop them. You and I have been doing this for ages, but when you start out and you think, oh, I've got to write and blog and newsletter and social media, and you don't actually fancy doing any of those things, but you are a creator, you've written an ebook or something like that, so you don't like marketing, but you're all right with content creation. You don't have to wait that dispiriting length of time for that to work. If you were starting now, when you taught me in 2002-3 to do this, I believed you and I did it, and it worked really well. It doesn't work quite so well now because it's too slow for my clients.
Yeah. There's do you remember I talk about Justin, who had a podcast about product where he was making a product a week? He uses Gumroad to sell his products, and he's now got a new podcast coming. It's in the early stages because he hasn't launched it on iTunes yet. It's called Mega Maker, which is MEGAMAKER. And his Mega Maker podcast is for people who make stuff, even, physical stuff like, carpenters and artists and things. And he's going to set a challenge of making something. He's going to set himself a challenge of making something every week for the next year, and talk about it on the podcast, and he will be using things like Gumroad and Zapier. Zapier is a lovely tool as well. Zapier is so easy to use, and it connects up. Again, this has been something that's been really well known about in the software industry, and it helps people cobble bits of software together, but it is very reliable, and I found it really nice. So, for example, when people book into my diary, it was sending them in as a new or an updated contact in my Infusionsoft, and there was no other way to do that at the time. But so I do use Zapier occasionally, and it does work really well.
So I've got here in my 2016 12 things, March, mastering Scrivener and using it to create a new passive income product. Well, now I know what I'm going to do with my passive income product. And then July, where is it? September, writing a new ebook for Kindle. I won't put it on Kindle anymore, I'll put it on Gumroad.
No, much easier. Yeah, exactly. Because Kindle.
It's not just easier. Kindle don't do anything to market your books, but Gumroad, for an extra 10%, Gumroad will find me an audience for it.
Find you an audience and an army of affiliates.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very nice.
I have to switch those around, actually, and do that one earlier in the year. That would be the way of doing it.
Yeah, go on. That'll inspire me to write my next book.
Well, there you go.
Halfway done. And I haven't done my 12 things list. I'm up to about 8 so far, but I by the time I come back, I will have my 12 things ready for you.
Okay, lovely.
All right. Word of the week, then.
Rotation.
Okay.
Because I, as I've just described, work really hard on social media, audience building, engagement achieving, and all of that. And I like a lot of my clients, I've less me than them, but I sometimes forget or feel a resistance to sell in that. So what I did was I wrote down a list of things that I wanted to sell, and now I'm rotating them. So every day or most days I'm trying to remember to rotate something where somebody could pay me some money for something. And one of my things is, I put it up last week. Did you know you don't have to buy a whole year's package? You can just book a one-off whenever you feel like it. Bang! Somebody booked a one-off.
No.
If you tell them what to do, they'll do it. Now, just a reminder of something I tell all my clients, and I had to learn the hard way. If you're doing that, remember to say, preferably at the beginning, please share. Yeah. Because if you tell people what to do on Facebook, they'll do it.
Yeah, I always forget to say please share, and I really should.
Yeah, me too.
I love the rotation idea as well, because it means you're not banging on about the same thing all the time.
The same thing, that's right, yeah.
The only thing is that you have to be a little bit careful that you don't, confuse people. So try and rotate your front end offerings rather than all of them. That's what I would say. Things that are most likely to get them in your list or get them buying something at a low price.
Well, I don't need to do that anymore because I'm going to do that on Gumroad.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's very good. I like rotation.
I know, right. Tell me your word of the week.
Kylie popped into my mind when you said rotation. I'm spinning around.
Oh, look, we should sing every week on this podcast, shouldn't we?
Badly. Oh, my God. My word is validation. Because, I nearly said it earlier, and he blurted it out in What's Fueled Your Fire, when in the fact that, increased listeners on the podcast is validation. But what I was actually referring to is the fact that my son Nelson has got to the point where he's sick to death of earning £5 an hour washing up in a pub now. And because he's actually seen me start to make some money, because I've been slogging away at my computer for, a little while now. And I suppose they don't believe it till they see it, do they? So now he's seen me have some success and the kind of sums of money that he can only dream of, bless him. He's come to me and he said, will you teach me how to do Facebook ads? And I said, well, I did try to get you to do Instagram marketing for me before and you didn't ever get through the videos, even though I was willing to pay him to watch them. So I said, you've got to prove yourself now. So here's my new Facebook ads course. I want you to go through it and I want you to think about it in terms of your own, because he wants to start, he's on music production. He wants to start doing.
Well, could I just, I wanted to interrupt you there, but I don't, he can sell his tunes on Gumroad.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Music, anything digital. Yeah.
So what? He's not, to be honest, he's not really at the point yet where he's making a tune.
No, he's not. But, it's almost like people making, if he got $1 a tune, that's an encouragement.
Yeah, but what he wants to do is he wants to have his own record label, which is, talk about taking after your father. It's interesting. He wants his own record label and his own promotions company. And he wants to do nights. He's been semi-offered the opportunity to do nights. He's only started DJing recently, but apparently he's got a bit of a gift for it. And so he wants to put on nights where he's the club promoter, but he's also gets a DJ slot. And I said to him, well, if you're doing that, you need to be building up your following on social media now so that when you put your first club night on, you've got a pool of people to offer it to. I said, because although you think you've got lots of friends on social media, when you actually want them to pay £10 to come down to a club night, you'll find that 90% of them won't be available or will have something else on or will say they're coming and then they're not. You always need more than you think you need. So when he came to me and said, can I learn to do Facebook ads and I'll do them for you? I said, okay, the thing is, Nels, there is a little opportunity here because you're very active on Instagram and Snapchat, and I believe Snapchat ads are coming in the future, and I know that Instagram ads are here already. So if you learn how to do Facebook ads, you can be my Instagram specialist because that's a medium. He doesn't hang out on Facebook at all, so it's not a medium he's excited by, but Instagram is. So I said, while I'm away, work your way through my Facebook ads course, and I gave him access to it, and prove yourself. Ask intelligent questions in the group, that I've set up. Nobody will necessarily know you're my son. And prove to me that you can stick at something and have the drive to learn a new skill. And I said, and the other thing it will do is you will get, if you go through the course thinking about your own promotion and record label business, you'll start to have ideas about how you can start that going. But it was validation, the fact that he's it's like the prophet gets ignored in their own hometown kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now finally they've realised that actually I am doing something at this dining room every day.
Yes. When my middle nephew was at Manchester University, exactly what you've just talked about, he became a music promoter and DJ.
Oh, wow, okay. That's a really good way to earn a living, and you get a great social life as well.
Now he's going to be an absolute rock star in advertising.
Yeah, that's a lot of people who do promotions move into the media industry.
Yeah.
They're outgoing and they know how to get a crowd going.
So going back to, I didn't understand the segue between validation and Nelson.
Because he's...
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, your kids are working out that something you're doing at the dining room table is actually working.
Yeah. and that it's going to it earns more money than they could possibly hope to earn in some sort of regular job. But I'm really pleased that both of them have done that because, I said to Nelson, you've washed up solid for a year and a half now at £5 an hour, and I'm really proud of you for sticking at it. And now you're ready, you're ready to have the commitment to learn how to do something for yourself because you know
Yes.
what the alternative is.
Well, quite.
And it's not pretty.
No, it's £5 an hour and washing up. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And actually what's triggered this is a load of the people he loved to work with, the team's been broken up, they've all moved on. So I think that was what was making it bearable for him, and now it's back to just washing up. So,
Yeah.
bless him.
Yeah.
Okay, so project updates.
You know my thing about conversations and talk.
Yes.
And so last week I offered you 3 names and you poo-pooed them. I've come up with another one this week, which is, it's all right, I'm robust, don't worry. I come up with another one this week, which is called Big Talk. And I put that on the nav bar on my website as an experiment.
Oh, good.
And
testing.
And then an interesting thing happened where a client, and I know this happens to a lot of clients, and she happens to be a coach, so it's a particularly good feeling for her to have felt. She said, I can't come to my call. I'm exhausted by coaching and by life. She's just moved country with her partner's work. And I said, look, you don't have to be coached. Whenever you feel like it, just come for a talk. And I know lots of my clients are exhausted by the sort of forward thrust that they think that coaching has to be. Whereas in fact, we can have quite a lot of life shifts just from having a relaxed exploratory conversation. There's a lady coming tomorrow morning who I always have to psych myself up for before the call because I know she finds me exhausting. And she always books in for an hour, but after about half an hour, I often said to her, should we call it quits for today? Because I can tell she's completely, exhausted by the amount of work what we've discussed in half an hour might involve in the next month. And she can't take on any more. So I think it's quite interesting that for a coach to say, I don't want to do any more coaching, I feel that we've gone over and over and over and I haven't done what I'm supposed to have done type of thing, which I think is a typical feeling we feel as a coachee. Maybe there's another way we can go around that with a big talk or a talk that makes a difference without you feeling necessarily you've got to leave the call and it be about performance.
There's 2 things that popped into my head there. I used to feel exactly the same when I came off a call with Neil when we worked together. Because he was big picture strategic. He used to come up with fantastic ideas. And in my head, I was the person who would implement them.
Yeah.
I used to feel overwhelmed and exhausted by just having a conversation because I knew my to-do list would triple after one of those calls.
Yeah.
What made the shift for me was finding myself a VA.
Yeah.
Because, she cost me $10 an hour, bless her, and she loves that. She's perfectly happy with that. And she takes... Whenever I have an idea, like, for example, I suddenly had the idea that I could get these audios, I could turn the videos of the Facebook ads course into audios, get them transcribed, and then while they're going through them, my assistants could make tick lists. And then I'd give those tick lists and the transcriptions to my people who bought the course as an unadvertised bonus. And now, if Neil had come up with that in the olden days, I'd have felt overwhelmed and exhausted because there's a lot of work in that. But I didn't feel that because I thought I'm going to give that to Patricia to sort out. So I opened up the folder. She's now getting it done at rev.com. She's passing it back to the 2 people who will be going through the videos and with the transcripts and making the tick lists. I don't have to do the work. So I think that's a bit of a shift.
And also, Nicola, with the greatest of respect, I don't think admin's your thing.
Well, it isn't, but having great ideas is, and now I can...
No, exactly. I don't think admin's your thing. And so people listening, for instance, who know that admin's not their thing, make a small investment with the VA. It doesn't need to be as big as Nicola's.
But for years, I was the person who did admin. That's how I earned money until I was 38. I was a manager, or I was an admin, or I was a PA, or I was...
None of which were playing to your strengths, are they?
No, what is my strength is setting up systems, I've discovered, but not following them myself.
Yes, no, quite. Now, tell me, project updates for you now that you've got your breath back.
Yeah. So yeah, it's this thing about, do I put my charges on my website?
Oh yes, the mentor call.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the thought I had when you were describing it before. Why? And this is not the first time you've told me this. You told me it about another mentor, and I knew who you were alluding to that time. Why would you consult somebody, and then when they give you advice that you find a bit scary, you not follow it?
Because I've resolved since over the last 5 years to trust my gut.
Ah, so why are you still reaching out to mentors then?
Good question. Because I feel that if I'm going to take this agency to over $1 million turnover, which I think I really can now, it looks like a doable thing to me. I feel I might need guidance from someone to do it.
All right. So if you're going to take this agency to over £1 million, which I also believe in and have done ever since you told me about that, because I could see it, why wouldn't it, if you followed this man's advice, scary as it is, it's going to take you out of one pond and up into a bigger pond, which means you'd have fewer clients paying you more money, which is easy to manage.
That's not.
What's the point of it then?
The point of this is lots of people paying a little bit of money and getting a great result, where I don't necessarily have to do the day-to-day work, but I don't feel so responsible.
But those same things apply. If you just have a smaller number of bigger clients, those principles still apply.
No, they don't, because I feel different.
No, hang on. Without mentioning names, let's think of the woman we discussed yesterday.
I can't remember which one's that. Oh, yes.
Now, she found your fees really easy. She didn't have to think about them. So she's at the lower end of what this mentor is recommending that you have, that and above. Now, if you had lots of hers, you'd be perfectly happy with that.
I think there's a difference between solopreneurs and corporates. I think he was trying to say to me that a corporate would come along and look at my fees and think, oh, small fry. She's at the upper end of the solopreneur thing. So I still, obviously, my comfort zone is solopreneurs, albeit ones that are doing very, very well financially.
Yes, they can't really afford you, solopreneurs. I would ask this woman. I would ask her, saying, do you mind if I ask you a question? I've been given this piece of advice by a mentor and I'm in two minds about it. If you'd come to my website and it had no prices on, would that have put you off?
Yeah, good question. I know that she did see my ads for the webinar where it was talking about adding 6 figures to your own income, and she thought, I'd like to do that with my, because she's got an agency. Yes. And I think she came to me initially because of that, and then she watched the webinar and thought, actually, I'd like to do my ads first.
Yeah.
So yes, that is a good. She would be a good person to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. I just ask her about the money. If it had not said, would you have asked? It'd be interesting to look at her site to see if she talks about fees. I don't think she does.
No, but then if they don't have the fees on, I have to have the money conversation, and I've never been comfortable with that.
But you're getting better at it because you have it knowing they've seen it.
Yes, and I also have got easier at it knowing I can deliver stonking value and have demonstrated that.
Yeah, and you could also give them a ballpark, which is what I do with the pay what you want. I say, the range is X to Y.
A lot of other digital agencies do that. Fresh Egg particularly, they set people's expectations. With respect, we can't work with you unless you've got an ad budget of X upwards. Yeah, that might be a way to do it.
Yeah, I'm liking what he's saying, and I think not to say switch the model immediately, but at some point this year when you're very busy, switch to it for 3 months on the website and see what happens.
Yeah, I think I could do that fairly soon, actually, because my diary is getting chock-a-block.
Exactly. And that's when we feel confident to do bold stuff like that, when we're all right for money.
Or when we've got nothing to lose. Because remember, I doubled my fees when I lost 4 clients.
Yeah.
But then I did that for their own sake, because I didn't want to attract any more clients who couldn't afford it. So
yeah.
Okay, interesting. There we go. So
I also, before we carry on, I just want to say that I think it's fabulous that you are so much more confident about following your gut instinct. And I think even if you decide not to follow his advice, it's still good to have had the consultation, because it makes you think through things like this, and get clearer about. But I think he's broadly right. I know, and I have clients who do what I do, but their clients are HSBC, Canary Wharf. If they don't charge enough, they don't get the job.
Well, that's true, isn't it? You definitely do judge people by the fees. I paid for his consultation, by the way. He doesn't do free consultation, so that's interesting in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yes, he knows that time is money.
Yeah, and if you join his program, you get it back as a credit, But
which I like. I like that model a lot. Yeah.
And actually, I've had 2 people not turn up on me this week who booked an hour slot with me to talk about Facebook ads, and they were.
Well, and you know what his model does as well, which is it reinforces the point we were making in the Gumroad thing. Your first experience is as a payer.
Yes. Yeah. So you're not expecting free advice, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, lots to think about there, and luckily I'm going to be in a situation for a couple of weeks where I have nothing to do.
You can do some floating thinking.
And thinking, that's always good. So who or what's impressed you then?
Well, I've got one. Do you want to go first on this?
I'll just bang on a little bit about Gary Vaynerchuk, who we've known of since 2006. I've listened to all sorts of things. He's got some new initiatives which I've stumbled across. Now, there's a very much a divided school of thought about Gary V in the circles I move in nowadays. One is that he works far too hard and he's going to kill himself. 2 is that you shouldn't have to work that hard if you weren't stretching yourself so far, but he absolutely seems to thrive on it and love it. And he's got this new thing now called the Daily V, which is DAILYVEE on YouTube. And it's basically this guy called D-Rocks following him around with a camera and recording his entire day and then editing it literally within 24 hours so that it goes out. And you can, in 15 minutes, you get a flavour of Gary V's day every day. And it's hilarious just watching this guy in action, because he swears a lot. You'd like him, Judith. He swears a lot. He's very high energy. He hangs out with some really interesting people. He's incredibly creative. And I just am so impressed with the fact that he's got this unending energy and enthusiasm for sharing what he believes about social media. And that's what's turned me on to Snapchat, which has led to my getting my new phone, because I want to. He thinks Snapchat, he's an investor in Snapchat, so he's got a vested interest. He also invests in Uber and things of that nature. So he's an investor. He's got his own digital agency that does pure social media for big brands. And I wonder if they've got their fees on the website. I bet they don't. And he's just an incredibly entertaining person. He just gives so much value constantly. He impresses the hell out of me, whether you agree with it or not.
He's a potential member of our Overachievers Time Off Club, because and the reason you like him is because you're like him, which is you wouldn't know what to do with time off, and neither would Gary V. And so all of your colleagues that are saying he shouldn't have to work that hard, they're like me. They're in the I'd like more leisure time and I know what to do with it. That's you and he are an energy match in that regard, which is true. Gary V wouldn't know what to do with time off. He doesn't want it.
Yeah, and I think I need to, if I was going to find a mentor, I think I'd have to find a mentor who was the opposite way, so that it would encourage me to have more fun.
Well, I don't think it's that you don't have, this is fun for Gary V.
It is, absolutely, and that comes across really highly.
Well, that's the argument. You can't think of anything you'd rather do on your birthday than go and create a new sales page. Yes, that's what you did last September the 29th or whenever you are. 30th, aren't you? Where are you? 29th.
You got it right, yeah.
Yes, there you go, yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. So anyway, if you want an inkling into a day in the life of Gary V, go and watch the Daily V show, because they are not only entertaining, but they are an eye-opener about how hard the man works.
He is also a digital, he's a prodigious, what's the word? He can't help himself but constantly create digital content.
Yeah. What about you then?
Well, I'm going to talk about Alice, who is one of our regular listeners. Alice is an artist, and we debate endless routes to market, and she had a fantastic result. One of the ones we debated was, should we sell pictures off the walls of restaurants and cafes? And in the end, she decided that she would partner up with a local coffee shop where she lives. She hung the pictures on a Tuesday evening. She labelled the pictures on the Friday evening, and she made her first sale on Saturday morning at 11:30.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know.
What sort of price bracket are we talking for her pictures?
Not sure. In the ones she hung in the gallery, I don't know. Somewhere between 60 and 1,000.
Okay, what, the gallery or in the coffee shop?
In the coffee shop. Well, no, in real life.
Yeah.
I think you can spend 60 quid and you can spend 850.
Yeah.
I don't know which ones. I don't know which price range she chose for the calf. But I always told Alice I bought a picture off a wall in a restaurant once, and I'm not even arty. And we weren't sure. We really weren't sure. But she amazed herself with the speed with which the first sale was achieved.
That's amazing. That's really good. And coffee shop's got a high turnover and lots of footfall, so it's an ideal place for it.
Well, she lives in a posh area of town. I think the coffee shop is in that posh area of town as well. I think I think the point of this story is not. It's just keep trying stuff, isn't it? We don't know. We don't know until we try anything. And even if you tried something similar with a coffee shop and it didn't work, it doesn't mean the idea is bad. It might mean it's the wrong coffee shop. You know what I mean? It's a testament to, let's just have a go anyway, which is one of my favourite things.
And it comes back to the thing about being unattached to the outcome and trying stuff regardless, because a lot of people would have thought, I'm not going to make the effort to do that without a guarantee that it's going to give me a return or work. And what your Alice demonstrated there was admirably was two things. One, she was prepared to put the work in without knowing if there was going to be any return on it for her. And B, she was unattached to the outcome, whether it worked or not. And it did. So good for Alice.
And it delighted her, actually. So there was an awful woo, which is not, it's fun too, isn't it? It's like, who knew? We don't know, do we? And everything changes all of the time. And if art didn't sell off coffee shop walls 10 years ago, it might now. And now that we've done that, where else might we look? She's going to do an online thing as well, which of course is exciting.
Can I stop you there? Is there any chance you can get Alice onto Gumroad so that we could become an affiliate and we could put links to her art in our podcast and we could see if you can sell art off Gumroad or a podcast?
Alice, well, you can definitely sell art off Gumroad. And Alice will hear this and Alice will let us know on the group the answer to that question.
Yeah, because I'd quite like to see Alice's pictures now we've talked about her. So we need to
go to her Facebook page, which is Alice Sheridan Art. And I love her pictures, actually. They're very accessible.
Okay, AliceSheridanArt.com. On Facebook, Alice Sheridan Art.
Well, either. Her website is Alice Sheridan Art, and I think her Facebook page is as well. Anyway, if you Google Alice Sheridan Artist, which is like how I like to think of her, you'll find it.
And if Liz Polyanin is listening, Liz, this is something for you to look at as well, because you've got absolutely gorgeous pictures, and you've been looking for a venue for, a way to get them out there to the public, and perhaps Gumroad might be it for you.
Well, and actually I've got several clients who are artists. One of them has only got to bang a picture up on Facebook, her Facebook page, and it sells. And another guy I know who I have an ad hoc relationship with, he buys a call when he can afford it, not when he doesn't. He puts his pictures up onto Facebook and they go as well. And interestingly, he's got a huge stock. And I said, right, we need to take a picture of each of them. We need to get them up on Facebook, that kind of energy. And he went, can't face it. So there's an example where you really need somebody like Nelson to take a picture of each one and put it on Instagram.
Oh God, Instagram would be fabulous for artists. The idea for a group's just popped into my head. I'm not going to do it, but you could. It's for artists who want to learn how to use social media to sell their art.
Interestingly, Alice is very good at social media. Well, she overthinks it slightly, but she's very good at it.
Well, she should have the group then, because that would be a really good way of...
No, it's a distraction for Alice. We want her creating art.
Okay, so really it needs to be a gallery owner or someone with an interest in the arts who is also good at social media and who could... anyway, there's...
Well, I think any social media type person, doesn't really matter what their product is, actually. I mean, yes, there's a nice niche waiting here. There's probably somebody doing it already. But, if you've got Well, there's an opportunity for somebody. You're always teaching people to run the digital agency. Somebody could go and master Gumroad and then offer their services in a partnership to anybody that wants more sales of anything.
God, to just a digital agency for the arts. Oh, that's lovely. That is. Hey.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely. Right, we must stop now because we're coming up with so many ideas.
I know. We're at risk of exhausting people, but there you go. And it does specifically say on Gumroad, comics. So this is for Michi, who makes comics. So you could sell your comics, Michi, and I've already put a message to that effect in our group, but no harm in restating that. And I also don't think it's going to be hard to learn, Gumroad.
No, it's very easy to use. That's why it's been so popular.
Yeah.
Excellent. On that note, we should reach out to Gumroad to see if they want to sponsor our podcast.
Oh, well, when we've mastered it, definitely. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right then. Next episode, people, will be full of the tales from America. So you can't.
No, it won't. The next recording is the 20th, and you don't load the country until the 21st. Oh, no, that's right. No, I was going to say yes, it's right. No, right. We've got one more recording before we go.
So we have. So I'll edit that bit out then.
It doesn't matter. Don't edit it out. But there is something for us all to look forward to, which is when Tales from America, Nicola's Tales from America.
Yeah, a bit not quite as literary as some of those writers, that's for sure.
We're away from them. We're not going to get those until about the 19th of February. That's okay.
But if anyone really can't wait, follow me on Instagram and Snapchat. It's Nicola Cairncross on both.
Okay.
And then you'll be up to date, up to the minute, and living the moment with me.
Can I make a small confession? I wouldn't know how to do either of those.
You know how to follow me on Twitter, though. Exactly the same process.
Yeah, but I wouldn't know how to follow you on Instagram or Snapchat.
Okay, I'm going to get.
I don't even know where Snapchat is or where to go looking for it.
I'm going to get Instagram to feed onto Facebook just for the Luddites.
Perfect. And is Snapchat an app on an iPad or an iPhone?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's good fun. So go and get it on your iPad, Judith. You'll be
no promises, but I might.
Okay.
And of course, I can't do it today because it's Digital Detox Friday.
I'll do it till Monday. I realise that.
No, I could do it tomorrow, but not today.
All right. See you later. Lovely show.
Okay. Bye, love. Yeah.
You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.